Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Where are we today? Come on, you know where we're at. We're at Washington's premier indoor shooting facility. Of course, that's Security Gun Club right here in Woodinville, Washington. Hey, for those of you who geeked out on this video over the weekend about the huge ruling in Trump v. Casa, you may have caught the theme of that, which is that Justice Connie Barrett was taking a bunch of swipes at Justice Brown Jackson. And I had me thinking, like, how bad was her dissenting opinion? Well, I went home that night figuring, hey, I can read her opinion, it'll help me go to sleep. No, actually, I stayed up most of the night and then had nightmares about it because I'm here to tell you that this particular justice, who many of us have surmised is in a little over her head already, has the potential to be absolutely one of the worst things that's ever happened to the American justice system. Don't believe me? I'm going to share with you what she believes the role of the judiciary to be. And trust me, y'all may have some nightmares as well. So today, let's spend a few minutes and let's talk about why she is well on the way to being the worst Supreme Court justice ever. Okay, hey, before we get going too far down the road we're going down, proud to announce that this video is being brought to us by GroundNews. Hey, aren't you sick and tired of the news treating you like you're a little kid? They're going to tell you how to think rather than give you all the stuff to think about. Well, that's why I use GroundNews to research for every single one of my videos, because they scour over 50,000 news sources worldwide and then actually give you a visual breakdown of the bias distribution, headline manipulation, and you can even see who owns the media conglomerate. Listen, we tell you all the time here at Washington Gun Law that we're not going to tell you how to think, but we're going to give you all the stuff to think about. Shouldn't mainstream media be treating you the same way? That's why I encourage all of you to sign up for GroundNews. And right now, if you go to ground.news/Washington, you can get 40% off a Vantage Plan, which is the plan I use that will give you access to every single feature right there on Ground News. So for more information, visit my good friends at ground.news/Washington. Okay, America, as you know, last week, the United States Supreme Court came out with a ruling that basically said that, hey, you know, these United States district courts just simply do not have the authority to issue nationwide injunctions. The vote on that case was 6-3, the three liberal justices being the dissenters. Now, although there was a very well-reasoned, although I disagree with it, dissenting opinion authored by Justice Sotomayor, Justice Brown Jackson decided to take the opportunity and write her own dissenting opinion, which turned out to be, in many ways, much of the focal point of the majority's opinion. How bad was it? Well, let me put it to you this way. Justice Brown Jackson truly believes that the judiciary is in fact the emperor, that they should be able to control all branches of government, and that whatever the court says is and always will be the final arbiter of anything, and that they have the complete authority to step in and invade the provinces of either of the other branches of government. Don't believe me? You think, wow, Bill, that's probably a little bit of an exaggeration, right? Well, let's just take a look at what Justice Brown Jackson wrote in her dissent in Trump v. Casa. The court's decision to permit the executive to violate the Constitution with respect to anyone who has not yet sued is an existential threat to the rule of law. Yeah, you're going to notice that this opinion is littered with all the liberal talking points, existential threat, threat to democracy, and all of that, okay? It's as if it was co-authored by Sonny Hostin, okay? The justice goes on to state, it is important to recognize that the executive's bid to vanquish so-called universal injunctions is, at bottom, a request for this court's permission to engage in unlawful behavior. When the government says do not allow the lower courts to enjoin executive action universally as a remedy for unconstitutional conduct, what it is actually saying is that the executive wants to continue doing something that a court has determined violates the Constitution. Please allow this. That is some solicitation. With its ruling today, the majority largely grants the government's wish. But in my view, if this country is going to persist as a nation of laws and not men, the judiciary has no choice but to deny it. That's right. We are at an existential constitutional crisis, according to Justice Brown Jackson. And unless these renegade district courts are allowed to enjoin the presidential administration in its entirety, we will continue down that path. She further writes, simply stated, what it means to have a system of government that is bounded by law is that everyone is constrained by the law, no exceptions. And for that to actually happen, courts must have the power to order everyone, including the executive, to follow the law, full stop. And that's about the first of about 5 times that the justice uses the term full stop because she wants to, exaggerate her point. She goes on to further then state, the majority cannot deny that our Constitution was designed to split the powers of a monarch between the governing branches to protect the people. Nor is it debatable that the role of the judiciary in our constitutional scheme is to ensure fidelity to the law. But these core values are strangely absent from today's decision. And what she honestly wants, in all instances, regardless of the court's jurisdictional limits, is complete and utter obedience to whatever the court has ruled. As she put it, the distribution of power between the judiciary and the executive is of particular importance to the operation of a society governed by law. Made up of free, impartial, and independent judges and justices, the judiciary checks the political branches of government by explaining what the law is and securing obedience with it. Now, I want you to understand how she believes the judiciary works, because she writes it as a made up of free, impartial, and independent judges and justices. And Justice Brown Jackson, can you then explain that if they're all so free and independent, why the Democrats have obtained 35 nationwide injunctions from just 5 separate district courts? But then, and this is very unique, she starts taking some significant swipes at her colleagues, okay? And this probably warrants much of what Justice Coney Barrett then responded. She starts this way. With that background, we can now turn to this suit and focus on the ways in which the majority's ruling undermines our constitutional system. Oh, and her insults of her colleagues do not stop there. As I understand the concern, in this clash over the respective powers of 2 coordinate branches of government, the majority sees a power grab, but not by a presumably lawless executive choosing to act in a manner that flouts the plain text of the Constitution. Instead, to the majority, the power-hungry actors are, wait for it, the district courts. And again, if Justice Brown Jackson had her way, the courts would have a much more expanded role, allowing them, again, to influence the province of the other branches of government. Don't believe me? Well, these are her exact words. Put differently, the majority views the judiciary's power through an aperture that is much too small, leading it to think that the only function of our courts is to provide complete relief to private parties. But they also diligently maintain the rule of law itself. When it comes to upholding the law, federal courts ensure that all comers, that is, everyone to whom the law applies and over whom the court has personal jurisdiction, including and perhaps especially the executive, know what the law is and, most important, follow it. Yeah, because even though you're not named in the suit, Justice Brown Jackson believes that merely being an American citizen allows every single federal court to automatically have jurisdiction over you. And listen, in addition to insulting every one of her colleagues and being quite dismissive of the issue that was before the court, she attempts to inject a little sarcastic humor, which normally I'm a big fan of as long as it is both sarcastic and humorous. Her effort fell flat on its face when she authored, "A Martian arriving here from another planet would see these circumstances and surely wonder, what good is the Constitution then?" And ultimately, in her long, hollow, and virtue-signaling dissenting opinion, Justice Brown Jackson concludes it with, "I view the demise of the notion that a federal court can order the executive to adhere to the Constitution, full stop, as a sad day for America. The majority's unpersuasive effort to justify this result makes it sadder still." You can be the judge for yourself. Does she appear to be completely in over her head? But then, in addition to that, she then proves to us that she is both petulant, that she will make personal attacks upon her justices, and worse yet, she rules herself as the emperor. And so while she may decry an executive branch that she believes is acting in an empirical fashion. She's more than happy to have the judiciary act in that exact way. Okay, the case once again is Trump v. Casa. We're going to link it all up down below so you can geek out on the majority and the dissenting opinions all you want. If you got any questions about this or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights, you guys should know how to get a hold of Washington gun law by now. But if you don't, that's okay. That information, it's down there in the description box. If you got an idea for a video we should be doing around here, you click on that link right there and you tell us all about it. If you want to subscribe to the monthly newsletter, the ability to do that is down there in the description box. And then finally, and most importantly, America, let's everyone remember that part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation, how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay safe.